Ladies and gentle giants, let the show begin. It's time for the Clash Royale League. In Europe, today's first match features the Flying Frenchmen of Allegiance against Misfits Gaming, stalled at the bottom of the standings and hurting bad for a win. Is an upset in the cards?
Allegiance and Misfits last time went to King of the Hill, but today, Donkey Kong, the King of the Hill specialist, out with an injury, but don't worry, look no further than right behind him, the man, Lupanji, coming off a huge King of the Hill sweep against Dignitas in their last match. But Misfits will not go quietly into the night. Reggae in their last meeting, nearly sweeping the entire team, looking to finish the job today against Allegiance. Hello and welcome back to Clash Royale League. I'm Rich Slayton. Joining me is Andrew Guy, and today we have some matchups that have a lot of implications for the top of our standings.
Yeah, as we hop into day 2 of our Royale Rumble, we got Allegiance here in third place, 5-3, tied actually for second, one game away from Team Queso, and then Misfits at the bottom, fighting to make it into playoff contention.
We will also see the top of the ladder, Team Queso as well, and that's so important for our structure for playoffs. Remember, the third and fourth place teams will play each other. The winner plays against the second place team, and the winner of that goes against the first place team. That number 1 spot gets a 2-round bye in the playoffs. And later today, of course, that number 1 spot being held onto by Team Queso as they face off against a squad looking to make that 3 or 4 spot in Fnatic. But right now, we have the number 3 Allegiance facing off against the bottom of the ladder in Misfits.
Yeah, if we hop into Misfits roster here, we've got Drege, Jose LC, that one guy, and Pepe. And as I said, they probably will not get that 2-round bye, but they could still maybe make it into that 4th position. And Allegiance, Donkey Kong, Doberman, Lupanji, and Wiko today without one of their stars trying to claim that 2nd place position.
And without that star, a lot of questions for their roster
Yes.
indeed. So standing by with Christy St. John is Romain, the coach of Allegiance.
Thanks, guys. So first things first, Donkey Kong is injured. What can you tell me about that?
Basically, he was riding his scooter outside on the street of Los Angeles, and he got hit by a car. So he got some scratches everywhere on his arms, his forearms, and his wrists. So yeah, he doesn't feel like playing much.
Well, I know you've switched up your lineup a lot. Is this affecting your gameplay, or do you think you've just found your players' strengths and weaknesses?
Basically, we're trying to get unpredictable. We've been playing the same duo for 2v2 for the last 5 matches. So we're trying to switch things up and try to be not that predictable.
And you definitely have some momentum coming off of 2 Dignitas wins. I mean, 3 wins in general. Are you feeling that momentum? You going to win today?
That's part of the plan. Basically, yeah, we always aim for the win, and that's what we're going to try today.
Well, we'll see. Back to you guys.
Reserved and calm despite losing one of their best, at least for hopefully not more than a day or two. So get well soon, Donkey Kong. And right now, we're going to listen to the War Rooms to see what words of encouragement their coach and the Misfits coach had to prepare for this rematch.
Du coup, 2v2, un petit duo novateur, c'est bien, comme ça on n'est pas prédictible, ils s'attendaient pas à ça et c'est une bonne chose pour nous. Les bans Tornade et Fireball, ça va le faire. 1v1 à Nice, t'as ban le méga mignon, c'est une bonne chose parce que ça lui enlève la plupart de ses decks. T'as ban les Royal Hogs, pas de soucis, ça va le faire. Tous les matchs sont importants, tous les matchs comptent pour le résultat final et toutes les victoires sont importantes. Donc aujourd'hui on repart avec une victoire. C'est bon, vous êtes prêts?
We got the strategy for this match. They are the bans that we practice for. We got the decks. We practice so much for this match, and just let's do what we know. And we have just to prove to us. I don't care about what people say it or anything. Just do your job and let's get this, guys.
The teams have talked the proverbial talk. Now, the age-old question, what is the meaning of life? No, I meant, can they walk the walk? Yes, that's it. Let it begin with a stylish strut down the tunnel. Allegiance and Misfits, send your 2v2 combatants into the arena.
You know, I might be getting the number wrong, but I believe the meaning of life, the universe, and everything is 32, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I read the book. Guys, 2v2 on its way, and a little switch up in the lineups for both pairs.
Yeah, interesting here. We got Doberman and Wiko coming out, and Doberman was actually in that 2v2 set that they lost to Misfits in week 1, so looking to redeem himself. And then their opponents, Drege and that one guy, also switching it up just a little bit. Drege, of course, 3-3 in 2v2 sets. That one guy is 1-1 in 2v2 sets.
The ban cards here, Tornado and Fireball, so no big surprises. A bigger surprise, it's 42 is the number. I was 10 off, so to the chat that's probably losing their minds right now, that is the answer to life, the universe, and everything. And two squads trying to make some answers right now, Allegiance and Misfits. A lot riding for both. Allegiance trying to find a top spot in our standings, a good spot for those playoffs. Misfits just clutching on to their last hopes here to make it to our postseason.
Awesome.
So it is Misfits, that one guy, and Reggae together in 2v2 at the top of your screen. At the bottom, it's Wiko and Doberman for the French squad Allegiance.
Yes, and Misfits trying to avoid another loss and also the season sweep by Allegiance.
That first match was so close, Andrew. Misfits took the 2v2 fairly handily and then struggled in the 1v1. And then that King of the Hill matchup went all the way down to the wire, forcing, I think it was Donkey Kong that day, to clutch for his squad in the final 2 games.
Yeah, we've seen how important that King of the Hill performance and play is here in CRL, especially as we get into this playoff push.
So it is Allegiance out to a very slight lead on the right-hand side, running Royal Hogs. Trying to pick them up with the Lumberjack is Misfits, but that's a lot of damage very early on in this game.
Yeah, and just seeing the cannon in hand here, I'm curious to see how Allegiance is going to deal with that Lava Loon push.
Well, the Zappies getting picked up by the Lava Hound instead, so you'd love to have those on the balloon, and there they go picking it up, so nice defense here so far.
Yeah, really great use of the snowball to move things around, slow everything down, and those Zappies are actually very, very perfectly placed. I was a big fan of that. And now with the Tombstone being the main response to these Royal Hogs, which have proven to be so powerful in 1v1 and 2v2, you see now the Fireball, the Log, and the Magic Archer being allocated to destroying it regularly, and now that is why Misfits Tower is at 880 HP.
So Fireball and Tornado both being out do take a lot of the answers off the table for dealing with Royal Hogs and for dealing with Balloon.
Yeah, wow, those Hogs doing just an insane amount of damage, and that Mega Minion sneaking in front of the Lava Hound, none of these things going the way that Misfits wants.
Allegiance, though, playing that Magic Archer maybe a little further outside than they intended.
100%. They did not want to just walk down the left lane and do nothing to this incoming push. However, I think they're still going to get away with it.
With 45 seconds left, the Miner making things a little more interesting, but right now, if Allegiance can play smart defense, they should have game number 1 in the bag.
I was just going to say, Allegiance needs to send Royal Hogs down the left lane to create that dual lane pressure to stop Misfits from mounting a big Lava Loon push, because 1147 is an easy amount of damage to make up. However, the amount of damage done to that left side tower of Misfits is not. So even if Misfits take this tower, which is a possibility because they just missed that kite or that pull with the balloon and the cannon, it doesn't really matter.
And there we go, letting the balloon do its job, not quite pulling everything, but it doesn't matter. Both towers down for Allegiance. And flipping the script from the first time they match up, it is Allegiance taking the first game of 2v2.
Yep, Doberman getting that loss back right here, hopefully for him to take the set. And Misfits now looking to adjust their deck composition, probably realizing that the Tombstone was just not enough of a response to this double Royal Hog push. The cannon card, I don't think, even had to be played by Allegiance. So many responses. If you don't even have to play a card in your deck, that just means that you have got them beat by matchup.
Wiko was not in the roster, or at least not active, the last time these two teams met. So, you know, of course, Allegiance has improved every time out, but he has become sort of the 2v2 specialist here for Allegiance. Maybe that might be a big part of the difference.
Definitely, and as you look back into that replay, you saw that the communication with Allegiance, they recognized that they were probably going to lose that tower. They could have preserved it had that cannon actually pulled the balloon, but they went hard in the left lane, making it so Misfits, even with a tower take, was still down another Princess Tower.
So it's taken a few weeks, but here we are in week 6, and we're seeing a big shift in the 2v2 meta away from the golem beatdown.
Yes, absolutely.
Game number 2 underway. Misfits Reggae really hoping to recapture the magic he had the first time these two teams met. He beat Donkey Kong and Doberman in 2v2 and then went on to beat Lupanji in a close King of the Hill match and Doberman before losing to Donkey Kong, who clutched the opposite direction.
Yeah, and Donkey Kong has shown to be such a clutch player when the pressure is on. Interesting here with the decks of both these guys really not opting to change much, so we'll see for Misfits if they can really adjust because they don't even have the Tombstone in hand right now.
Yeah, not exactly in cycle there, but still picking up most of the damage from those Royal Hogs.
And that Magic Archer just getting a great amount of value, cleaning up everything and going to get on top of the Tombstone and getting tower chip damage. And they Misfits has had enough. They send in the Miner to take it out. However, that Zappy tanking for it, and that Magic Archer is still going to make it.
Wow, and now the Magic Archer will still get at least one shot. No, it gets picked the other direction, but wow, that might be the most valuable Magic Archer we've seen in a while.
And you see that Misfits allocated a ton of elixir to try to take it out, and in turn took a lot of damage on their left side tower.
So now as we reach the halfway point of regulation time, Allegiance out to a commanding lead here on both sides.
And there's not a lot in hand for Misfits to deal with these Royal Hogs incoming, and that's going to probably take the tower. The Lumberjack will actually make good work of them.
The Lumberjack doing cleanup duty, but not before a lot of damage gets done. Now he might get tower other side though, we'll see. And Beautiful used the Snowball, a very low cost way to handle that charge.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy watching the Snowball being used in 2v2. It's so cheap and it has so many great effects to it. Not really found a place in 1v1 yet, but I actually am okay with that now that we've seen how much it succeeds or excels in 2v2.
Well, there's some success on the right-hand side, the Royal Hog bat combination.
Oh, and there's that cannon cart in the pocket.
So the King Tower now getting down to under 2,000 hit points. This is pretty wild stuff here. Nice work by Doberman and Wiko. Now, they do have to contend with this Lava Loon push, but it's probably going to be too little too late with how much damage on the tower. And yes, now down to under 30 seconds. It's going to be hard-pressed for Misfits to even send this thing to overtime, much less take a victory here in game number 2.
And you're never trying to kick a dog when he's down, but Misfits have really got to make an adjustment here in their 2v2. They've got to figure out whatever the missing piece is because this is not going to work, especially here in Power Week. The push for the playoffs, you can't just give away 2v2 sets. Now, I know they fought their hardest, but wow.
So we do go to overtime, but like I said, it's too little too late, and almost the 3 crown here for Allegiance, making some big changes after what happened the first time these two squads met.
Yeah, as I said, Doberman getting his revenge, getting that set back, and now they are within striking distance of taking the season sweep over Misfits, and Misfits on the other side of this got to be asking themselves, what do we do? What are we missing? How do we adjust? And this is really quickly back to the replay. This Magic Archer took so much elixir, did so much damage almost by himself on that right tower, and Misfits then were caught with no elixir to respond to the next Royal Hog push.
Yeah, that Magic Archer practically built a house on that side of the field, stayed there so long. So here we go, set number 1 down, and Allegiance continuing their strong push towards the top of the standings. Remember, they are currently tied for second place, so a win today would put them in that enviable position where they would get a first-round bye in the playoffs.
Yeah, and they are still close enough to take that first place position from Team Queso, and then you get 2 rounds. 2 rounds bought in the playoffs is absolutely insane, but that's one of the things about CRL and why we make that first position so important.
But the script isn't written yet. Misfits still has something to say. 1v1 is on its way.
In the 1v1 showdown, CRL Titans go toe-to-toe, head-to-head, eye-to-eye, basically all of the body parts against all of the body parts. Lupanji and Pepe, it's time to get it on!
1v1 coming down the pipes, and after such a fantastic performance in King of the Hill, Lupanji taking the stage in 1v1.
Yeah, Lupanji here making I mean, this is one of the words of the coach for Allegiance all day long. It's unpredictability. And so moving Lupanji into that 1v1 where he's had, decent success. He's had, he's 1-1 in 1v1 sets, and also without Donkey Kong, it makes sense. And then on the other side of him, we've got Pepe. Now in this 1v1 set, everything riding on him. A loss today, again, makes it so Misfits are basically out of playoff contention. They have got to bring this one home.
So our ban cards, Royal Hogs banned by Misfits, and the new most popular ban card, Mega Minion, off the board once again.
Once again, as I said before this match, they talked about Allegiance putting Pepe on Mega Minion, banning it, and then in turn being able to counter his deck. And this is exactly what they wanted to see, the Royal Hogs ban and the Mega Minion ban. I'm very curious to see what Allegiance is going to bring to the table.
1v1 coming down the pipes. Can Lupanji take his squad one step closer to a first round bye? A little jungle music to kick us off here in our first game of 1v1. It's Misfits Pepe at the top of your screen. Lupanji for Allegiance at the bottom.
And despite Pepe not having a great amount of 1v1 success here, he was the #1 EU qualifier, so he's got the stuff.
Across from him, of course, though, one of the best in the world, #1 at CCGS EU, top 100 on the ladder, #1 at Coronation Day. Lupanji has proven time and time again that he is one of the ones to be feared when you're going head-to-head.
And with that Mega Minion and Royal Hog ban, you're wondering if you're going to see P.E.K.K.A.s popping up.
So pretty spammy decks from both sides right now.
Yeah, that Battle Ram we've seen being used a lot over the last couple weeks, and there's that first P.E.K.K.A. turn. Lupanji will probably drop his. Oh. Mega Minion's actually doing a decent amount of work. He probably won't have to.
It is so nerve-wracking seeing a P.E.K.K.A. come down the board because you're trying to count and double make sure that you don't get one frustrating swing when you misappropriate the number of hits a Princess Tower will take on it.
Yeah, unbelievably easy to distract the P.E.K.K.A. However, when she does get on your tower, it is basically goodbye.
Slow going to open up. It is Lupanji taking the first big chunk. And now we see the P.E.K.K.A. dropped in the back as a response to the Royal Ghost.
Yeah, Lupanji recognizing that the Battle Ram could go down the left-hand lane, not wanting to send it directly into the P.E.K.K.A., but already allocating Elixir to the right, was a really pretty safe P.E.K.K.A. placement. However, that Magic Archer by Pepe was excellently placed. Very
well timed, very well placed, but now has to deal with a lot coming down the lane here on the right-hand side.
P.E.K.K.A.'s going to turn and hit the Battle Ram.
Excellent blocking there, keeping the Battle Ram off tower.
However, still getting a breakthrough in that flying machine. If a flying machine locks on your tower when it's not being targeted, you're going to take about 400, 500 damage very quickly.
So this time the P.E.K.K.A. being played off-center, the Magic Archer not getting tower in response. We are in the final 25 seconds of regulation. Double Elixir is active, and it is Lupanji out to a fairly significant lead, but Pepe mounting some decent offense himself.
There's a lot of units coming across the bridge right now.
Well, spam versus spam competition, so the fight taking place furiously at the bridge.
Yeah, and that poison actually still doing a decent enough amount of work for the Royal Ghost to be able to take out that Battle Ram. Very, very close here. With the Battle Ram being in both hands and the P.E.K.K.A. being in both hands, this game is still anyone's.
Now, Andrew, with how much fighting there is taking place in the middle, a little more difficult to find your way to the tower. Oh, there we go.
Yep.
Magic Archer, a couple big hits. My question is, do you think that Lupanji's going to want to start trying to push that poison towards tower rather than use it to clean up here in the middle?
It's tough because if you ever get aggressive and put it on the tower when you're not actually cleaning up the troops, they could break through and you could lose the game in the last seconds.
And here's a big breakthrough. The Royal Ghost gets one, and a second one, the poison to back it up. That's going to be it. Pepe down early, but making some significant adjustments and using his poison on the tower to take the victory.
Yeah, you saw early on, Lupanji played a couple defensive plays that were really, really conservative and also really positive trades for him. But Pepe kept his cool throughout the match, found opportunities to make Lupanji make mistakes.
And there's that big block, and that might be the difference here in this match. You know, it got very, very low, and still having about 600 as we go into the last phase of this game. And that might have given him the confidence to go a little bit more aggressive and make this move we see here.
Yeah, and also the fact that Pepe had so many perfectly placed Magic Archers that were chipping away at that tower, that really kept him in the game, even despite that early mistake or the early deficit in damage. That Magic Archer evened it up for him really, really quickly.
So game number 1 in the books of 1v1. Pepe feeling pretty good right now, made some strong plays, made some good adjustments as we got late in game. But Lupanji, we have seen him do the same thing. So game number 2, you can't take your foot off the gas.
No, absolutely not. And Lupanji here, with an opportunity to put it away, needs to make some adjustments as soon as possible.
Your ban card's still going to be Mega Minion and Royal Hog, so that might have driven some of our spam versus spam attack. Of course, we saw that great spam versus spam game the other day in the North American region between Vulcan and Geo. So similar high-level play when those two decks meet here.
Yeah, and it looks here like Pepe is going to go with the beatdown, which is what Allegiance had originally put him on. However, last game not running that was maybe why he took the very first game in this set.
A couple of swings, or I think it was just one swing, maybe two. Anyway, Lumberjack gets on tower. No bueno for you on the left-hand side, and it is Pepe taking first blood.
And with this matchup of 3 Musketeers and the Golem,
picking up the Baby Dragon with the Ice Golem. So you're talking about this Golem 3 Musketeers matchup. And now we're getting the Royal Ghost in the right-hand lane, making a beeline for the tower.
It's a great fireball coming in for that with that Hog Rider, going to do a lot of work. However, now Lupanji is going to be in a position of having a ton to deal with here on the left-hand lane and not a lot of elixir or answers.
Although almost taking that tower down, so if you are going to be in this situation, having a tower within log range, definitely the way you want to play it at this point.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, Lupanji was recognizing that he was going to lose the tower but had to avoid the 3 crown, which is why he had to play the Hunter and the minions there, even though he was definitely going to lose the Princess Tower. He can't afford losing all 3.
So that Baby Dragon doing a lot on that King Tower. Lupanji electing to take a bunch of damage, and we see why he's preparing to push that left-hand lane. So now at this stage in the game, Andrew, King Tower activation, kind of late in the match for that to happen with that right-hand tower down, but maybe forcing Lupanji to make a play on that right-hand side. At this point in the game, Andrew, how does Lupanji want to play his defense effectively against this Golem?
I don't know. I mean, maybe I think it's probably early cycling Hunters and then really protecting your Hunter. However, them walking up as far as they are and meeting the Golem right there, it gives Pepe the opportunity to drop units right on top of the best damage-dealing unit, which he sees that Lumberjack coming in and cleaning up that Hunter as soon as possible, allows him to drop another Golem that is going to be not as quickly taken down.
Well, we do have a raged up Golem coming in and some defense being played by Lupanji, but if he can defend this here, take a look at the King Tower of Pepe. So maybe trying to slide a Hog Rider in at the last second. This is a big exchange. The Golemites going down, so if this Hunter can stand strong, Pepe in a potential spot to steal this thing in the last couple of moments, but a beautiful tornado.
And that's going to do it.
And that was a huge moment. Now, can Pepe cycle back to his spell in time, keeping the Hog Rider off the King Tower? Very, very smart move. The poison comes down, and that is a fantastic game there from Pepe, taking Misfits into King of the Hill back-to-back. Again, big time plays paying off for the young man from Italy.
Yeah, really recognizing when to eat damage and when to commit to the push. He recognized early on that his Princess Tower on the right was low and weak, so he had to commit to the full Golem Nightwish push in the left-hand lane. You saw Lupanji try to recover from it, but it was just too much, and as you see Pepe here really putting it away, nailing the coffin, if you will, with that NATO on the tower, and Lupanji at that point is like, I guess I have to go in on the King Tower to try to get a 3 crown, but this set is no longer mine.
Beautiful work by Pepe, who getting his first 1v1 set win here, a very important one at that, sending his squad into King of the Hill. And of course, each team will nominate 3 players. Each player will get 1 life, 1 opportunity to represent for their squad. And of course, the first team to take out all 3 players from the other side will get the set and the match victory. Right now, we're going to go inside the war rooms as our squad set their lineups and choose their ban cards.
Bon les gars, comme d'hab, King of the Hill, on oublie tout ce qui s'est passé avant, 2v2 on oublie, 1v1 on oublie, on se focus que sur le King of the Hill. Là c'est le plus important, c'est ce qui arrive. Donc pour la line-up, Zach tu commences. Lucas et Anis. Donc pour le ban, PK. On a bien préparé le King of the Hill les gars. On a nos decks. Il n'y a aucune raison que ça se passe pas bien. On est préparé. Le niveau on l'a clairement. Donc maintenant on a juste à montrer qu'on a le niveau. Et puis derrière on repart avec la victoire. Ça va? Moi franchement j'ai confiance en vous. Là je sais que ça va le faire. Ça va les gars? Allez.
Allez, vas-y.
1, 2, 3, allez!
So guys, for King of the Hill, it's gonna be like 1 reggae.
What is the hashtag? Yeah.
We're gonna go with
Bam.
Bam.
El Royal Hawks, ¿no? Seguimos la estrategia. Follow the strategy.
This might be another victory, but I really don't care. Just enjoy, don't feel the pressure, and let's give your best, and let's try to do it, guys. Let's go and ban Royal Hawks. Let's go, my knee.
When this one started, I wasn't sure it would be a fair fight, but it takes a big man to admit he was wrong, and I was wrong. There, I said it. Misfits have given Allegiance all they can handle, but can they deliver the upset in King of the Hill? Well, time to find out.
Momentum on the side of Misfits right now, heading into King of the Hill. They do have a tall order and Allegiance ahead of them, but big changes for Allegiance lineup right now.
Yeah, I mean, with Donkey Kong being injured, we've got Doberman leading off, Wiko making his CRL King of the Hill debut, and Lupanji with an overall team record in King of the Hill, Rich, of 5-6. And the reason I mention that is because if you look at Misfits, we got Drege, that one guy, and Pepe, who have an overall King of the Hill record of 6-5.
So while some people might call Allegiance the favorites here, Misfits with the better record, the ban cards, Royal Hogs off for Misfits, Allegiance taking P.E.K.K.A off the board.
Yeah, with P.E.K.K.A off the board, you can expect to see Golem beat down, and especially pay close attention to those princes, whether or not we see the double prince and giant with the Electro was making a resurgence here in CRL.
So last time these two squads met, it was King of the Hill. Let's run it back one more time. So leading off Reggae and Doberman. And the last time these two met in King of the Hill, it was Reggae who came out on top.
And Reggae not able to get his revenge on Donkey Kong today from their very first game, very first match, looking to just put a stamp on their relationship as two teams today.
So it's looking spammy for Reggae coming from the top. The Valkyrie and the Mega Minion, and now a Tombstone out for Doberman.
Yeah, with Valkyrie and, oh, never mind. We see the Lava Loon coming in. Definitely see, or a Lava Hound coming in. Definitely could see that balloon coming up.
not meeting the miner on the left-hand side, so choosing to take a lot of damage, and there we go, the balloon coming behind it. But now we do see an Inferno Dragon and a Poison trying to meet this big push.
Yeah, those minions coming in behind, focusing on that balloon. Really, really well played by Drege. I mean, honestly, I feel like I just learned something by watching that. Those minions were placed just far enough away to avoid attacking the Lava Hound and still get pulled by the balloon.
So out to an early lead is Drege. The choice to allow so much damage on the left-hand side now looking a little more suspect for Doberman.
Yeah, I mean, Doberman was probably expecting to get a lot more from that push than he did. I honestly thought he was going to as well, opting to not really defend the left and double down on the right, but Drege had a different plan for him.
So the Tombstone behind the tower, looking to hopefully distract the miner with some of those skeletons. The miner, though, goes inside and does get a few hits.
Yeah, I mean, now what's going to happen is Drege is just going to send the miner to the other side, and it'll go down a little bit quicker with the help from those skeletons.
So the balloon trying to make its way, and again, still some good damage, but also fantastic defense by the Misfits representative.
Yeah, incredible defense. If you are a person that hates playing against La Balloon, watch this match back again and see the order of operations that Drege goes through, dropping the poison early after the Inferno Dragon's already down, then waiting to place the minions. Just all of it is really, really great defense. There we go again, the poison right at the river. The Electro was to slow everything down and probably the minions coming in at the end. But the fireballs, ooh, the fireball not going on the tower.
That's a big moment and a big mistake. And now a last-minute desperation balloon trying to sneak through and get on tower. But look, Drege doesn't have any elixir to stop it, so one drop not going to be enough.
Wow.
Very, very close. The balloon just didn't quite have enough pace.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what he was going for there with Drege. I thought he was going to maybe he recognized that he had to do a tower trade and he had to just let the balloon go, but I think he recognized the timing. And this just, again, just showing the great defense while still getting the miner in. That fireball, had it gone to the tower instead to the Electro Wiz, might have cleaned up those minions and gotten a hit on that balloon.
Well, that was a weird moment, too. You saw the Lava Hound open up with the pups, and it felt like maybe that moved the balloon away from getting a drop on the tower.
Yeah, I mean, just honestly, a difference of centimeters, millimeters, whatever you want to call it, but really working out for Drege. And now we've got Wiko coming in for his CRL King of the Hill debut.
Game number 2 on its way. Drege doing very well in the first one. And now that's 3 Misfits logos in a row down the left side of your screen.
Yeah, Allegiance off to a really great start, has yet to find their footing going out the second and third sets.
Wiko might be making his debut in King of the Hill, but he's no neophyte when it comes to head-to-head play. The finalist to RPL Europa Season 2, top 8 at CR Worlds, and top 4 at the CR Nations Cup in Season 1.
Yeah, we see this Mega Minion and the Prince. You got to think we're going to see that giant double Prince deck. Or, actually, sorry, it looks like he's going to go the beatdown route.
So remember, P.E.K.K.A. is one of our ban cards here, so a strong answer to a beatdown deck not available here for Drege.
Kind of surprised that Drege decided to use the Inferno Dragon for defense there, recognizing that this was probably a beatdown deck. I get that he sends in the Royal Ghost to distract, and it was just enough to keep Wiko from being able to play his Golem.
So heads up, aggressive play so far here by Drege, but that King Tower activation, as far as his hopes for taking one of those Princess Towers, makes that a lot more difficult with his deck.
Yeah, definitely. That Miner's going to get a lot less value every single time that he comes in now that that King Tower is activated. And don't forget, that King Tower did get a buff in the last patch.
So it kind of forces him to make some choices with that Miner, right, Andrew? Because he can either choose to be unpredictable with its placement, but then take King Tower damage, or go in the safe spot all the way on the outside, but then you know where he's going.
Yeah, well, I mean, he might just have to go to the Miner to the left tower because of this Mega Knight plus Minions push that Wiko has decided to ignore. And that was a great job of Drege recognizing, all right, he just placed 8 Elixir down, he's got to mount this Golem push, he's got to support it, and now he's going all in the left lane.
And while there's a pretty undefended Golem push coming down the right-hand side, Wiko has to be very careful here because one false move could lead to the following of his King Tower, and that golem push is starting to go down fairly quickly.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of that last Mega Minion coming in and cleaning up the Royal Ghost. Now, I understand he wanted to mitigate more damage on his King Tower. However, he could have maybe mounted a better push for Drege's King Tower.
So the Prince being halted pretty significantly, that Electro Wizard fantastically placed on the opposite side in safe zone.
And you'd think we were going to see a Golem in the pocket. However, that Mega Knight coming down, making Wiko have to choose a different place to put it down.
So now we move into sudden death overtime, and both players down a tower, both players with a lot of damage on their King Towers. But it is Wiko who's fighting off the back foot.
Yeah, and that was an excellent kite with the Night Witch there. That could have been a 3 crown.
Well, still a lot of danger on the board for Wiko, the Frenchman. Both of his towers down under 1,300 hit points.
Wow, and that has got to be very frustrating for Wiko, thinking he might have an opportunity to mount a push, dropping that Golem across on the other side of the river, but that Inferno Dragon making a massive positive elixir trade for Drege allows him to do this, or mount this Mega Knight push.
So the Mega Knight push coming in, trying to clean it up with the Tornado is Wiko, but it looks like this Mega Knight has a very good shot of getting a jump, and yes, it does. This should probably be it, and yes, it will.
Drege doing an excellent job of also creating dual tower pressure when he saw that that Mega Knight and that Electro Wizard were already such a menace in the middle of the map. He sends in a push on the right lane, and Wiko just had nothing to respond with.
Drege fired up for this rematch, and once again he takes down 2 members of Allegiance, and this was that big first moment. The Golem on the right-hand side, Wiko makes a choice, and that choice kind of seems like it was the beginning of a long end.
Yes, and this is what I was talking about, putting that miner in to tank for these minions, creating the dual tower pressure. Wiko has to drop a Mega Minion on his Princess Tower while he's getting 3 crowned, a very frustrating position to be in. And Drege here, this is what Misfits need. They need a player with a surge like this to build their confidence as a team, start that momentum, and still somehow fight for that 4th place spot. However, they still have one more man to go through, and that's Lupanji.
And we've been here before with Misfits being very close to finishing this thing off, and then of course last time it was Donkey Kong who clutched it for his squad. Can Lupanji put another sweep in the books for his team? Four head-to-head games in a row for Misfits. Pepe and Drege going back to back to back to back, feeling very good about their squad's chances right now.
Yeah, and Misfits having such great head-to-head play here has got to think about the struggles they've had in 2v2 and where that's put them in this season.
So Lupanji now switching things up a little bit. We did see him run a lot of spammy decks in the 1v1 set. And the miner gets picked up perfectly by the Prince. And that's the thing about that first miner play, is not knowing what your opponent has. It often goes to that outside corner.
Yeah.
So you see the first miner come in, that's usually the best place to drop defensively.
100%. It's the best place to go. It's the only place you can't get nated from. The Bandit to respond to the Prince is a great, great change. Both these guys having a lot of positive elixir trades for themselves and in turn creating counter pushes, but their opponents are playing great defense. And that Mega Knight getting on the tower because the Inferno Dragon refocused on the other Inferno Dragon, the first maybe huge misplay we've seen from Drege in King of the Hill.
And that Mega Knight just chewing that tower up uncontested, so takes it down to 92, and the minions will finish it off. Drege looking to regroup and prepare a counter push of his own.
Yeah, very, very peculiar place to be in, especially because the decks we have here are relatively similar in the sense that it's not really going to be all about there's no graveyard freeze or a balloon to come in. He's got to mount a strong push, and Lupanji can meet that push with so many options with the Mega Knight, with the Electro Wiz drop back, or the Bandit charge to keep that Prince from mounting a Lance charge.
Yeah, neither squad seems to really have one of those knockout blow kind of decks that some people prefer to play. But Reggae still making moves, and talk about knockout blows. That Skeleton Barrel's going to get taken down, but if he can sneak one through, that could be a big momentum shift.
Yeah, that is true. That is a good point. The miner tanking for a Skeleton Barrel that popped is one of my favorite interactions, as I said the other day. But that is still going to have to be based off of a huge misplay by Lupanji, and Lupanji having a poison and a zap gives him a lot of options, and, excuse me, the Electro Wiz.
And here we go, doing exactly what you said. Reggae choosing to absorb the damage on his King Tower in hopes of tying this thing up, but it's not going to happen. The defense is too good, so here we go. It's Lupanji kind of giving Reggae the same treatment he had last time. 2 down, but can't get through all 3.
Yeah, and it looked for a second there that Reggae might get away with one with that Mega Knight missing the Skeleton Barrel pop. However, it does do splash damage, and this is where you see that Inferno Dragon is on the Mega Knight, but then the zap and the hop takes it out of range, and it refocuses on Lupanji's Inferno Dragon, and that was the whole game right there.
That's why Lupanji's one of the best in the business, so now with that sweep on a nice, or with that win, on a nice little run here in King of the Hill, given, if you put the King of the Hill sweep in from his last match against Dignitas, and of course that 1v1 performance he just put down, he is now on a 6-game. Oh, no, sorry, he lost the 1v1. That's why we're here. He's on a 4-game King of the Hill streak.
Yeah, and that one guy here coming off of a big King of the Hill where he lost in his 1v1 set, but then went and took the very first win for Misfits, and then that turn is now trying to create momentum into taking the next. Yeah, Rich, as I was saying, that one guy is 0-3 in 1v1 sets and 0-6 in 1v1 games. However, that one King of the Hill win he took was for a huge Misfits victory.
So Lupanji opting to switch it up once more, going Giant in the back. I don't remember if we've seen Lupanji play a Giant deck yet here.
Kind of an aggressive play, dropping that Giant immediately as your first card, but we'll see how that one guy responds, and if Lupanji actually mounts a push and gets some damage here, then it'll pay off.
So your ban cards, Royal Hogs and P.E.K.K.A, seeing the Ice Wizard now taken out by that spell combination there. Are we expecting maybe a Tornado somewhere in that deck for that one guy?
I'm not sure, but if that one guy placed Lupanji on Giant Double Prince, this is a really, really rough place for Lupanji to be in. Now, you see the Expo and the Giant being a quick counter to that, but the amount of responses he has in the Ice Golem, in the Ice Wiz, and the Guards, and the Tesla, this is going to be a very interesting match.
I'm betting that we do have NATO. This is a very common setup right now. In sort of the more recently, we've seen the Expo Tesla a lot this last summer, but more recently the Expo with the Ice Wiz NATO has been happening more. So I would expect to see that potentially, and that makes this very interesting because, as you said, the Giant, and as we know, the Giant, a fantastic counter, a frustrating counter for Expo, especially being 1 elixir cheaper. It can get down nice and quick. But when you have that Ice Wiz NATO combination, that's a fantastic counter to the Giant.
Exactly, and I'm sure that both these guys were planning on that. Now we see that one guy switching lanes here, and I'm just going to be really curious to see how both these guys play it. The Giant is a great counter to the Expo, but that one guy has a lot of answers. And as you see right here, those guards making quick work of the Giant. If he's able to do something like that again, take care of it just a quick, like a hair sooner because now it's double elixir, he would have got a tower lock.
But the big question is how fast can that one guy get back around to that Expo? His fastest cycle at 10 isn't that quick and isn't that much quicker than the fastest cycle for Lupanji.
I mean, we've seen a couple times the defensive Expo being able to mount another offensive Expo being the way to get around these beatdown decks, but we've also seen stalemates when the opponent has a matchup and you're going against a really, really talented Expo player like that one guy.
So that one guy not running the Tornado Ice Wiz, instead opting to go Fireball. and Log as his spell choices.
And this is going to be one of the very first really interesting interactions with that Giant coming down and getting the Expo Log and the Prince all coming across. He's going to try to mount these bushes, but that one guy at max Elixir playing great defense.
And this Expo is going to be critical, but here's the hard part about being against this Giant double Prince deck is Giant's a great counter for Expo, Prince is a great counter for Expo, and with Prince and more importantly Dark Prince only being down at 4 Elixir rather than the 5 of his 2 counterparts, there's always a fairly strong tanky card to pick that thing up.
Wow, but that Expo getting a couple hits in there, Lupanji just didn't, I guess maybe didn't see it necessary to defend, but that one guy is in a really tough place. Lupanji definitely has matchup just because of the amount of tanky cards and responses to his only win condition in the Expo.
But remember, that one guy does have a lot of defensive answers, and here's the real wrinkle. We are in King of the Hill. We are in overtime. We could potentially be seeing a lowest tower situation, and that one guy with the slight lead at the moment, that's a nice place to be in, and he can play a lot of really strong defense here.
Yeah, that's a good point. It'll be really interesting to see how Lupanji reacts to that, knowing that the lowest tower situation is in play.
So again, a lowest tower situation, meaning that if this game does go all the way to the remaining minute and 50 seconds, the player with the lowest single HP on one of his towers is the loser, the other player taking the victory in this King of the Hill game.
And you can see that Lupanji has recognized that by then in turn fireballing the Ice Wizard and the Princess Tower and not holding the fireball for the next Expo that comes down.
So this is really challenging for him because that one guy needs to get those Expos down, but needs to make sure the Expo and the Tesla are far enough away from his tower to not give double value with the fireball, and that's exactly what he doesn't want right there. His win condition getting taken off and the gap being increased. Every time he does that, Lupanji's going to throw that fireball in that spot and just keep playing defense. This is where things are going to start to turn for the Frenchman.
Yeah, and it appears here Lupanji now really having this game in control with only 60 seconds left. This is going to be an uphill battle for that one guy to somehow figure out how to break through and get damage on that tower. Doesn't seem like it's going to be possible.
Yeah, and that's the real hard part. And so here's the question now, like where does that one guy want to put the Expo? Now, here we go, an Expo lock. That was huge.
That fireball coming down before a Giant or before the Electro seems to be a huge misplay by Lupanji.
Maybe there was a cycle problem going on right there. So now with 27 seconds left, Lupanji needs to get some offense on the other tower. That fireball is big, but remember, that one guy also has fireball log as well. So now that one guy out to a slight lead, 15 seconds remaining. That Giant, I don't think will be able to get across two tower.
Even the Ice Golem pop is going to cause damage here. This is it. That one guy is going to be taking another King of the Hill set for Misfits, giving them their second victory on
Hold on, the fireball at the last second.
Wow, and that one guy knows it.
I didn't want to interrupt you, Andrew,
oh my
but
gosh.
It felt like the fireball had not been cycled through most recently, and Lupanji was holding on to that, and there we go. Lupanji's been there before where he's lost a game in the last second because of lowest tower, or not just that. 11 HP loss, of course, was a big one for Allegiance, and here we go. He makes the big change, gets the fireball in, and yeah, it was. This was the hard part, is trying to figure out who gets that last blow. It really was almost like you're playing like tic-tac-toe, who goes first, who goes second.
Yeah, and that log and zap coming in, doing just enough for that fireball at the end to take the edge over that one guy who you saw the disbelief on both of the players' faces. They couldn't believe it. Lupanji couldn't believe he got away with it, and that one guy can't believe he didn't recognize that the fireball was coming back into cycle.
And here we are once again, the end of King of the Hill. 4 games down, 1 remains. It's Lupanji against Pepe for all the marbles. Game number 5 underway, the rematch of the 1v1 set. Pepe has to feel good after taking those 2 games, the sweep in 1v1, but you do not want to be in this position against a guy like Lupanji.
No, and you wonder what Lupanji learned from that 1v1 set that he lost earlier to Pepe that he's going to now implement in this King of the Hill to take the match for his team.
Well, it's a very different set of ban cards this time around, so changes the tenor of this head-to-head matchup.
Yeah, and those bans that Allegiance had planned for Pepe didn't actually seem to work in their favor.
So a defensive miner picking up the Prince. Still, at this stage in the game, not too worried about it. And we have the Mega Knight coming in the back, but this Giant, and now with the miner on top of that, a lot to deal with here.
If that miner came in a half a second earlier, that Mega Knight would have jumped back to it, and Lupanji would have been a world of hurt.
So taking a lot of damage is Lupanji, but now sending a big push of his own down the pipes.
Really surprised that Lupanji put the Bandit in front of the Mega Knight. These two cards work really, really great together. If the Mega Knight is in front of the Bandit, then the Bandit would have charged onto the guards, and the Mega Knight would have taken them out with his hop, and the Bandit would have stayed healthy. However, that Mega Knight getting on top of the tower is a big, big problem for Pepe.
A minute 40 down in this final game of King of the Hill, and much different than last time. We had sort of a slow battle. This one, fireworks early on.
Yeah, and it's one of those things for Pepe that's got to be so frustrating, taking that 1v1 set with dominance and then now making an early mistake in the King of the Hill when everything is riding on this one game.
Well, momentum is a big thing, and you know, maybe feeling like Pepe was good in the last spot here, choosing to put him as the closer, maybe putting him up front would have been better, but on the flip side, Reggae took 2 games to start this off.
Yes,
so.
and you and I have been working together enough to know that was exactly what I was going to say in turn. Yeah, Pepe did so well, or excuse me, Reggae did so well at the start. Pepe not really having to step up for his team, but now in the moment where everything is on the line.
And Lupanji getting back to that Inferno Dragon very quickly to stop this Giant push. So having a lot of answers right now. And with 15 seconds left, this looks like it might be it.
Wow, and this has got to be so frustrating for the Misfits. Making a small mistake in the final game and losing by a small amount of HP in the previous game in King of the Hill. The frustration on the Misfits bench is palpable from the commentators booth. I feel it from here, Rich. I feel it for these guys. Tons of great athletes, nothing ever falling in their favor.
So close, but so far. And here it was, you can see it's the Mega Minion on the outside to pick up the minions, which you think like, okay, get that DPS off. But then there's nothing that he has in hand right now to deal with this Mega Knight and then the miner on top of it. And that was it right there. Lupanji now on a 6-game King of the Hill streak, back-to-back sweeps. And you really have to feel for Misfits, having them on the ropes, taking down the first 2, feeling like, hey, Donkey Kong's not in the lineup. We have a big opening, a big opportunity. And the same thing that happened last time. They get 2 down and then get taken back the other direction.
Yeah, and Donkey Kong's got to be feeling a huge, huge wave of relief not being there for his team, seeing it go all the way to the 5th game in King of the Hill, a place where he actually excels on their team. And Lupanji, again, bringing it home for Allegiance. That is a great, great position for them to be in, and you see the poor frustration on that one guy after that devastating loss.
Well, you know, like, you have to imagine they were kind of holding on to hope, and this was a match, especially with it being so close, you know, they get a win here, and instead of being 1-7, they're 2-6. Still far out of playoff contention, but not dead yet. But you feel like at 1-7, I don't know if in Europe a 50-50 split in your games will be enough. Could it be? Yes, but now you definitely have to win out to have even a slim shot at making playoffs. But enough about the woes of Misfits. This is all about the fantastic performance of Allegiance, now taking one step closer to the World Finals, securing second place, making a run at first, and that's all on the back of the man who now with 2 back-to-back King of the Hill sweeps has done so much for his squad. Let's go to Christy St. John, who's standing by with Lupanji.
Thanks, guys. A very close match. Tell me, what'd you learn in the 1v1 that helped you beat Pepe in the King of the Hill?
Ok. Un match très très intense, très serré. Qu'est-ce qui t'a permis de battre Pepe sur la dernière game en King of the Hill?
j'ai été très déçu de mon 1v1. À ce moment-là, j'ai dit que si on perdait, c'était à cause de moi et j'ai pas pu accepter ça. J'ai refusé de perdre, alors je me suis donné tous les moyens pour réussir ce King of the Hill, le full team.
So basically, he was really disappointed by his 1v1. So he couldn't accept that. So he said, like, by himself, he said, like, if we lose it, it's on me. So he just went out and he full teamed the whole team.
I have to ask, and against that one guy, I thought you lost it. Did you think you lost it?
Contre that one guy, elle pensait que tu l'avais perdu. Est-ce que tu pensais que toi, tu avais perdu à la fin?
Ouais, moi aussi, je pensais que j'avais perdu et le match juste après, je me rendais pas compte que je tremblais pendant tout le match.
Even himself couldn't believe he won. He was shaky at the end of the match and for the match after that. He couldn't believe it, basically.
And more important than this match, I will say you are now taking second in the standings. So tell me, are you going to surpass Team Queso?
Grâce à cette victoire, on est deuxième dans le classement. La question, c'est est-ce qu'on va passer devant Queso?
Ouais, only one more. Super.
Super. Thanks. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. I misspoke a little bit earlier. Andrew saying Allegiance was in second place. They were just behind their rivals, G2, who was in second. But now, with the victory today, we have a little bit of movement in the standings.
Yeah, we hop in here, and this was such a huge win for Allegiance. Now at 6-3, within half a game of Team Queso. And with them playing later today, with a loss, Allegiance could be tied for first. And you see Misfits on the bottom at 1-7, as we said, most likely out of playoff contention, Rich.
Probably not going to have a shot at those playoffs, but Allegiance now nipping on the heels of our number one team in Team Queso. And of course, coming up next, it's the leaders facing off against a squad looking for that number 4 spot in Fnatic.
One down, one to go. Get ready for the 7th-ranked Fnatic against top-ranked Cheesy Ones, Team Queso. Can Fnatic get a win before it's too late? Can Queso right the ship after 2 losses? Time to find out.
Fnatic's fates traveling up and down, back and forth. And that man right there, Lemon Tea, looking to finally move his team in the right direction after going 8-0 at the EU CRL Combine, wanting to prove his worth here today. And in the lineup for a Team Queso reeling after 2 losses, the Mexican superstar Anthony making his 2nd appearance for his squad. A dramatic first match today in the European region, setting up an all more important showdown now here in our 2nd match. It is the leaders, Team Queso, trying to fend off the surging Allegiance up against a very, very talented team in Fnatic.
Yeah, Fnatic's lineup here today. We got Asuchini, Dion, and Lemon Tea, of course, but only having 3 players. You wonder if they'll be mixing up their lineups, trying to keep Queso guessing. And Team Queso coming off of another loss. Yes, I said it. That's 2 in a row. Benihoo, Anthony, Kuchiku, and Soking looking to bounce back and remain on top.
And of course, a big part of that plan is the superstar for Team Queso, who has been in and out of the lineup maybe more than we expected. Of course, I expect to see him here today. Soking is standing by with Christy St. John.
Thanks, guys. Soking, you've lost 2 in a row. Some people are saying you're on a huge tilt. Are you? You going to win today?
I hope we get the win because we are training a lot. I think we deserve it.
Of course, this is also your 2nd day in a row playing. Do you think that's going to affect you? Do you think you've had enough time to prepare for Fnatic?
We are a little bit tired, but anyways, I think we had time to prepare the match, and I think we are ready.
All right. And, well, you know, ready, I actually saw that Kuchiku is a little bit injured today. Can you tell me what happened there?
He looks like Harry Potter, and we asked to get the line in here, and he got it. But let's see if it helps us.
Yeah, we'll see if it brings a little bit of magic. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Christy. Nice work there from the makeup department, helping out with that little bit of decoration on the forehead of Kuchiku. Of course, so much riding on this for both squads. Team Queso trying to get back on track from that big run up the open. And of course, Fnatic trying to claw their way into contention. What words will their coaches have to fire them up inside the war rooms?
All right. Today we're playing Queso, guys. In the 2v2, the first set, we're throwing out Dion and Asuchini. we've banned Fireball. Their ban's not on here for some reason.
Doesn't matter. They ban Inferno Dragon.
Doesn't really matter what they ban.
We
but,
don't need it.
So the second set, Lemon Tea is playing Soking. Soking is banned EWIZ, and Lemon Tea is banned Fireball.
Yeah.
I think we're ready to play. This is our rematch versus Queso. We're out for blood.
Bueno chicos, un día más, un partido más. Esta vez contra Fnatic. Ya les ganamos en la primera vuelta, pero no hay que confiarse porque ahora son mucho mejor de lo que eran antes, ¿vale? Al principio empezaron despacito, pero ahora están muy fuertes, han ganado equipos fuertes, así que no podemos confiarnos, ¿vale? Llevamos 2 derrotas seguidas, seguimos primeros, seguimos con un punto de ventaja al segundo, vamos bien, vamos a recuperar la racha, vamos a por otro 6-0 en esta segunda vuelta, ¿vale? Primero, 2 para 2, Cuchi Anthony. Sabéis los bans, ¿no? Sí. Bola y Dragón Infernal. ¿Qué tienes en mente?
A ver, Bola, Dragón Infernal.
Cerditos.
Sabuesos.
Sí, yo creo que
Cerditos para
Sabueso, Golem también
sorprendernos.
está fuerte. Golem es... Lo que pasa es que Golem es muy conocido, pero si no vamos a salir con cerditos también.
Pero ya sabéis que podéis usar eso para el main game, si hay una tercera partida o lo que sea.
Eso es, los sabuesos también están bien, ya sabéis. 1 para 1, ¿sabes? Contra Lemon Tea, Soking. Los bans son Mago Eléctrico y Bola. ¿Qué tienes pensado?
Los puercos van a ser muy fuertes.
Totalmente.
He estado entrenando con Rubén y va a salir bien.
Va a ser un partido de puercos, va a ser un partido interesante.
Como me gustan.
Como a ti te gusta. También tenemos a Harry Potter hoy, invitado especial, que nos va a pegar en carrito. Se va a llamar
Leviosa.
Harry Potter eres. Eres Harry Potter.
Si vamos perdiendo...
Si vamos perdiendo sale él y ya está. Venga, vamos. La de 3.
Venga.
1, 2, 3. ¡Queso!
Uy, echo de menos a Beli.
Royal math doth not lie. 1 + 1 = 2, and 2 × 2 equals a square off. In 2v2, there's twice the power, twice the plotting, and twice the good times. Now, Fnatic and Queso dazzle us with double the duel.
2 on 2 on 2 on 2. Thank you, King. We're catching off here in our first set. It is Dion and Asuchini taking the stage this time for Fnatic. And making his second appearance in 2v2 for Team Queso, it's Anthony.
Yeah, Anthony having great success in his very first 2v2 set, going 2-0 over Dignitas' Max Lemonas and Wonka. Now, Asuchini and Dion on the other side here just got swept recently by Team Queso, actually. So these guys really, really looking to bounce back. Excuse me, Team Liquid, I'm so sorry. Really looking to bounce back. And then, obviously, as you said, Team Queso on a 2-game losing streak, still at the very top of the standings, not wanting a loss today because that would actually put them at a tie for second.
And here we go with the ban cards, Fireball and Inferno Dragon.
Yeah, Fireball and Inferno Dragon, very, very common bans. You got to think with both of those being out of play, maybe we'll see a little bit of that Golem Balloon push, definitely some Golem Giant Skelly, and you got to think Golem and P.E.K.K.A. are going to come into play.
So the last time these two squads met, Team Queso took it in 2 sets. Pretty much a clean sweep, if I remember correctly. Yeah, a nice clean sweep. So this time Fnatic hoping to make enough changes to get it back in the rematch. Fnatic's Asuchini and Dion at the bottom of your screen, Kuchiku and Anthony for Team Queso at the top. Anthony's younger brother introduced him to Clash Royale, and he just used his first name to sign in the first time and try it out. And now he, since then, has a very literal in-game name for CR.
Yes, absolutely. And here we see Fnatic running with that Golem and P.E.K.K.A. However, with Team Queso taking to the skies, you wonder how effective that P.E.K.K.A. is going to be throughout this first game. The Baby Dragon putting some boosters on that Lava Hound.
The balloon almost getting a drop on the right-hand side. A lot of elixir spent by Fnatic to try to make a push, but getting cleaned up fairly well by the defense as the first exchanges go in the books. Team Queso coming out on top.
Yeah, where it was actually the very minorly supported Lava Hound doing more damage than Fnatic's Golem push.
So the Magic Archer and Dart Goblin getting through, and that's a lot of damage from those two.
Yeah, that was a really nice exchange for Fnatic. They're really happy about that, evening up the damage.
Asuchini and Dion back together again in 2v2. This is the initial pair that we predicted that the squad would be running here at CRL. Of course, they've made a lot of changes, but there's been different pairs. With, again, as you've said before, Andrew, only 3 players trying to stay as unpredictable as possible.
Yeah, and also finding the comfort of your players. You don't really have a lot of room, and that balloon is just going to take that tower down completely uncontested. What I'm saying is you don't have a lot of room to try things out and move people around with only 3 of you. All of you have to play every single match, so it's really easy for opponents to game your strategy.
So Fnatic does finally take that Princess Tower, but at what cost? They not only lose theirs, but now their King Tower down to 267. 267-2. And in a pretty difficult spot here. Now, Andrew, if we're talking about which one of these 2 tower pushes, if they go to a race right now for King Tower, who do you like?
It's really tough to say, honestly. Now, with the Lava Hound coming down the right lane, you think exactly. I was going to say the Golem's going to go down the left, and they're going to try to trade Princess Towers, and this becomes a 3-crown game. But since Balloon is in hand for both teams and that P.E.K.K.A is essentially useless, you really wonder if TQ is going to be able to take the advantage because they're using all 16 of their cards.
So Queso getting on tower again, and Fnatic's Balloon not going to make it. So while Golem does make tower, with 15 seconds left, it's going to be a tall order to try to take that thing down. I'm not seeing a lot of big spells available, so what can Fnatic do in these final seconds? It's not looking like a whole lot, and it's Team Queso taking game number 1 of the rematch.
And it looked like to me the big difference maker throughout that was in turn the P.E.K.K.A and not needing to play it because you've got such a powerful card, such a powerful position, basically not being utilized. And every time you saw these balloon pushes coming in from Team Queso, they were basically non-contested balloon pushes, whereas you would see on the other side so much defense coming down to stop that Golem push, and I really believe that is why Queso took this first game.
Game number 1 in the books fairly handily by Team Queso. Anthony now still undefeated in his 2v2 CRL campaign.
Yeah, which is a really, really big accomplishment for a format that was essentially kind of laughed at coming into CRL. And you go 5-6 weeks in, and it turns out CRL's laughing right back at you because 2v2 is so important. We all know how to play 1v1. Not everyone knows how to play 2v2 at a competitive level. And Anthony coming in for Queso and doing this to their lineup, maybe he's the one that was supposed to be the dangerous guy that we weren't supposed to be knowing about.
Well, a very popular guy at that, over 230,000 YouTube subscribers back in Mexico. He calls his followers the Baldies, which, I'll have to get some explanation on that later. But so far, plenty of hair on the chest of this Team Queso squad, out to an early lead.
Yeah, and to reiterate on that point, or to fully discuss what I meant, is that Anthony being super famous, we had no idea what Team Queso's 2v2 duo was that they self-deemed as the best 2v2 duo in all of the EU. And maybe this is finally it, seeing Kuchiku and Anthony work so well together.
So Queso with a game in hand, and Fnatic choosing to run the P.E.K.K.A again. Maybe a little bit better against this deck, but with the Royal Hogs making so many targets, not as ideal maybe as a Mega Knight.
Yeah, I'm really curious here. It seems like Team Queso almost knew that Fnatic would be running P.E.K.K.A 2 games in a row and are not giving it great defensive responsibilities. However, I mean, as we said before, the P.E.K.K.A is obviously an offensive threat, but very, very easily cleaned up.
So Magic Archer Minion Horde trying to stop this push, but with the poison and the Lumberjack getting through, that is a lot of damage on the left-hand tower.
Yeah, way more than Fnatic wanted to deal with, and just missing a couple hogs with that NATO is 2 misplays in a row that are going to basically cost them that left side tower.
So we're getting closer to double elixir time, and so far, the magic of Kuchiku and Anthony working very, very well for this team.
You see those Royal Hogs getting ready to come down the lane once again. And this is exactly what we're talking about, Rich. That P.E.K.K.A, now she's going to kill them all in 1 hit, or excuse me, in 2 hits, and that takes a while.
So 55 seconds remaining. Fnatic needs to find a way through here if they're going to have a shot, and the poison just cleaning up that minion horde, maybe choosing electing to put that card in the deck with Fireball off the board, but Poison with how much things get stuck at the bridge, that's a great response to that card.
Yeah, and the minion horde being played there on top of the Pekka, cleaned up by the Poison. That's basically a 12 for 4 trade. Now, obviously, you're going to have to put a little bit more down to support the Pekka, but Fnatic here just not having the answers, even with NATO, even with the building in hand and the rocket, they just are not able to get enough pressure in. Now, they may take that left Princess Tower, but they are now thirsting for Elixir to defend the right.
So the snowball should be going to that Princess Tower to keep them in this thing. 5 seconds remain, need to get that down. Throwing the miner there, miner getting picked up, not throwing the snowball. Will that be in time?
Wow.
Just barely gets it. So we are now in sudden death overtime. Fnatic and Dion and Asuchini making things very, very close here.
And you have to admire the competitiveness of Team Queso, not relenting an inch, not giving Fnatic anything. They could have let that miner go through knowing that there was basically a 1 in 8 chance of catching it, and they still caught it, demanding the snowball. And then once again, Fnatic is not having enough Elixir to respond. Team Queso is going to take this set in 2.
So throwing some the log and the hogs down the lane. Fnatic will not go quietly, but the Magic Archer in motion finishes it off. And I couldn't tell, was that a Wingardium Leviosa?
I could not tell you which spell Kujiku just cast, but whatever it is, it seemed to work.
I wonder if they went to Universal, and maybe that's why why we're getting a little bit of the Harry Potter in there. Didn't see them bring wands to the stage, though. So here we go. It's that first Lumberjack Poison getting through, and a lot of Elixir spent here in an ineffective defense.
Yeah, and and this is the miss NATO that I was talking about. Not a huge misplay, but still enough to just give them a little more breathing room. And I really am not a fan of the Minion Horde making its way into 2v2. There's so many spells always in play. Even if NATO or Fireball's banned, then the other one's going to be on the table. Coupled that with Snowball, Zap. There's so many responses. Poison, they just kind of be a waste, or become a waste of 5 Elixir. So Anthony and Kuchiku now being in week 6, now being in the playoff push in day 2 of the Royale Rumble, maybe this is the unbeatable pair from Queso.
Very possible. Look, Anthony may only have 5 total appearances here at CRL, but he is 4-1 with the 2 game wins in 2v2 and the 1 loss in King of the Hill. But his fans at home, the Baldies, have to be cheering right now for their team, for their boy. But up next, it's going to be the 1v1. It's Soking facing off against Lemon Tea.
This next 1v1 showdown is more giant than a goblin giant, more fly than a flying machine, more the bomb than the bomber. Lemon Tea and Soking, show us your rad moves in the arena.
Soking with a very solid record in 1v1, 2 wins and 1 set loss, 5-2 overall in games. Lemon Tea, though, has split his games and sets so far.
Yes, he has, and this is a big, big moment for Lemon Tea from Fnatic, being 1-1 in 1v1 sets. He knows that this is the moment where he has to go 2-1. He needs to make that gap between Fnatic and Queso that much smaller. And then Soking, as we've said before, popping in and out of lineups, finding a ton of success. 2-1 in 2v2, 2-1 in 1v1, 1-1 in King of the Hill. He can do it all, and today he's really trying to close out this 1v1 set and bring the sweep home for Team Queso.
The ban cards for all of our potential 3 games here in 1v1. Fireball and the Electro Wizard being taken out by Team Queso.
I mean, both those cards are making its way into that giant double Prince deck. Also, the Fireball being so effective against so many cards, the Royal Hogs, the Balloon. It's going to be really interesting to see which decks they've pinned their opponents on and which, in turn, they're going to counter them with.
Probably the unsung heroes of CRL so far have been the analysts and the deck research they're doing, helping the teams make choices for their bans to reduce deck pools. Will that work here with the E-Wiz gone? So a fantastic team behind Soking, not just talking about his teammates, but also the coaching and managing Termisva, Mad Raider, and Furrier, talking again about the way the support staff helps these guys prepare. So I'm very curious to see afterwards if Soking or their squad has any more information behind the choice of that E-Wiz ban.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it's the very first time we've seen it banned here at CRL, especially in the 1v1 set, and that is not a good NATO. And Soking calling him out for it. A little BM there in the beginning.
Lemon Tea making that pull a little early and now being forced to spend a whole lot of extra elixir to defend this Royal Hog push.
And you got to know that he feels it. He feels that mistake, and all of a sudden, the pressure magnifies. And also with Soking throwing out a little bit of that BM, Lemon Tea's got to know he made a pretty big mistake.
And now the Graveyard push coming in. The Bat's such an inexpensive response, coupled with that Royal Ghost. So taking care of that pretty easily. And yeah, now Soking throwing up the sunglasses there.
Yeah, really feeling in the driver's seat. And this is, again, another misplay by Lemon Tea. I mean, he didn't know that the Magic Archer was in his in Soking's deck, but that's basically a wasted Tombstone. And now with the Royal Hogs being coupled with the Magic Archer as regularly as they are, you got to basically expect it, Rich.
So I don't have the numbers on it specifically, but Fnatic has run Graveyard kind of a shocking number of times in head-to-head matches, of course, that being Dion's go-to deck. But now I'm wondering if part of that EWIZ ban was specifically to put Lemon Tea in a situation where Graveyard might be likely, given it being a popular option for the squad.
Yeah, it's interesting. You and I were discussing Graveyard yesterday, and we were actually discussing Graveyard with the 4 NA teams that competed yesterday, and they were a lot of them saying that Graveyard doesn't really have a viable place anymore in competitive play. However, there was a few naysayers that believe that Graveyard still does. Right now, so far in CRL, it has a negative win rate.
So that tower very close to going down. We do not get the final tick, but Soking can kind of just play defense on that side and not worry about dropping that thing. And the Bat's doing a good job of picking up the Inferno Dragon. So now with 30 seconds left, even if Lemon Tea does get that right-hand tower down, he will be under a significant amount of pressure to try to get back in this game.
Yeah, it just really seems that very initial wasted tornado not activating the King Tower was just an insurmountable mistake to come back from for Lemon Tea. However, it is only game 1 in set 2. He can bounce back. Soking feeling on top of the world, though.
Yeah, just had so many responses for Graveyard. And again, you talked about that big mistake early on. So Soking taking the first game here, and the rematch looking a lot like the original between Team Queso and Fnatic.
Yeah, and Team Queso at the very top of the list, getting the season sweep over every team that they can is going to obviously be their goal. They never want to get in a tie position, but if they are, they never want to lose that tiebreaker. And this is that NATO by Lemon Tea. As you saw, you said it, Rich, it came down just a hair too early, and Soking recognized that immediately. Now Lemon Tea has to defend 4 Royal Hogs and a Magic Archer with an Ice Wiz and a Knight. Pretty rough.
An extra 6 elixir spent to defend that. You know, maybe he would have gotten with another 3 if the tornado had been fine, hadn't been misplayed there. So a very challenging moment. And we've said this before. You make one mistake, you make a second mistake, you make a third mistake. They always bring more. So that's a challenging moment. But Lemon Tea has a chance to get it back now in the second game here against Soking.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully he doesn't make a mistake. Hopefully neither of these guys make a mistake and it cascades throughout the game, but there's really only one way to find out.
So a nice good luck from Lemon Tea and a good luck from Soking.
And again, you admire the sportsmanship, but you also got to know that the BMing does get to your opponents. It really does. And if they make a mistake and then you BM them, this is the highest level of competitive play. You got to take everything. You got to bite, claw, and scratch in every way that you can for those wins.
So pretty good poison value there for Lemon Tea, taking off the 4-cost Magic Archer and getting damage on the tower. Both sides developing slowly at the moment, but a lot coming down the right-hand lane now.
And I like this deck that Soking's running so far. It's got a lot of defensive capabilities and a nice offensive presence.
So the guards in the log doing a good job responding fairly inexpensively to that Royal Hog push.
Yeah, the guards are such a great response to so many cards, and now with the Prince working its way back into the meta, it's a direct counter to the Prince.
You know, a lot of newer players look at guards and go, it's 3 cost for skeletons, it's an epic, it's a kind of confusing card, but what they're not taking into account is how valuable that shield is.
Yes, and how fast their attack speed is and how high their damage per second is. There's so many great uses of that, and the fact that they're not spellable with a zap or a log or a poison immediately.
And that's where that shield comes into play. And that's one thing that a lot of newer players don't put time into, is they look at if they look at an epic and they go, oh, I want to start leveling up something that's a big damage capability. But some of the best epics in the game are more utility cards.
Yeah, and you got to think a Poison's going to be coming down here soon for Soking, and there it is. And this is the thing with the type of deck that Soking is running. This is basically what we call a control deck, and it's basically you try to control the entire game by having a ton of defensive responses, cheap cards at a quick cycle rate. You try to chip away their tower. However, when you're playing a deck like this with such a high skill cap, any mistake that you make is then magnified because your cards are so cheap, because you are relying on not making any mistakes.
And a pretty big moment there, the left-hand side, the Three Musketeer split, taking the tower of Soking down to 1177. So talking about those mistakes specifically, a big one here as we move into the final 30 seconds of regulation time.
Yeah, exactly, Rich, because you don't have a ton of burst damage in Soking's deck. I mean, unless the Inferno Dragon gets on towers like that, it's really all about the poisons and the miners and the magic archers.
So the right Musketeer will do some good damage to that Inferno Dragon unless... Now here's interesting, if that miner can tank long enough, Inferno Dragon could be viable, but with the skeletons down, not going to do much. So as we move into sudden death overtime, it's suddenly looking like Lemon Tea is in the position to possibly take this thing.
And a really great 3-1 split there by Lemon Tea, because he knew that the log was going to come down the lane for those two Musketeers.
And that's the big problem with that Royal Ghost. Trying to pick up Miner, but in its non-corporeal form can't do the job. So now down to 726 is the right-hand tower of Lemon Tea. He has to keep that alive, or else this is going to be it for Fnatic.
Yeah, and it's so tough to decide how to pick up that miner when you have the Royal Ghost. Like, do you drop Skellies first, you drop the Ice Golem, and then the Royal Ghost? What is the best order of operations to make sure it gets picked up? And now, sending it to the same area about 2 or 3 times in a row, Lemon Tea's able to pick up that miner with the Hunter. Not the same spot, same area.
So down to 415, picking up those Royal Hogs with the Tombstone, but they are going to get through a little bit of damage with that poison. This is a big moment. That poison should tick off the last 2. The log does it. Very nice work. Lemon Tea looked like he might be losing control of a match. He was leading, but then short up the defenses, made some good choices, finished it out well.
Yeah, you almost wonder if Soking was being a little too conservative with his Tombstone play throughout, or maybe playing a little overzealous playing it early on as a cycle card, when in reality with that Tombstone you really only want to play it as the Royal Hogs come down, making it so that Magic Archer can't make quick work of it before the Hogs even get there.
So you were talking about that control issue, Andrew. A control deck, for players who like to play cerebrally, a control deck can be so much fun.
Yes.
Because it really is one of those ones where if you can play perfect, then you can get a beautiful win. It's intellectually stimulating and challenging, but as you said, one big mistake, and without that burst damage can be very hard to get back in.
Yeah, and these are the best players in the world. One of you is bound to make a mistake. So control, really tough in Game 2. Let's see what Game 3 has for us.
So here we go, the third and final game of 1v1, and this time it's Lemon Tea throwing out a little bit of a taunt here, going, hey man, I'm going to bring it, you better be ready. Baby Dragon in the back, so Lemon Tea potentially showing some beatdown early on.
Yep, beatdown or that really odd graveyard deck, and once again that Tornado coming in, but this time doing its job.
Lemon Tea getting the right placement and right timing.
Yeah, this looks like it could be that weird graveyard deck there, Rich. Or not weird, just new. Maybe a little weird.
It depends. I think this depends on your definition of weird. The Ice Wiz NATO combination, though, so unbelievably powerful. But and that Prince is going to get a couple shots.
Say, without the log back in cycle, that is going to do it. Again, maybe that NATO just not being Lemon Tea's best friend, not always getting it to its full distance, the farthest pull possible.
So now both players choosing to slow down a little bit, prepare for the next push, and there you go, it is that graveyard deck.
And we've actually really yet to see a lot of success with this deck, Rich. I understand the idea behind it, the Baby Dragon being a good tank, the Knight being a good tank, but still, not a great turnout. And Soking, you know when your opponent throws the good luck at you that they're feeling really, really good about the push they've just put together.
But Lemon Tea does have a lot of defensive options here right now. The Giant going all the way down, but the Miner coming in right on the Ice Wiz, and as the NATO is used defensively to pull away those troops from the tower, missing kind of an opportunity there for an activation potentially.
Yeah, and the bench there loving that last final swing by the Royal Ghost. Again, I'm going to say it, that was a missed NATO. He was able to get the Miner as well to bring them all just a hair farther away, maybe then in turn getting the Ice Wizard stun, or slow I should say, on the full group and making that last Royal Ghost hit not happen.
And the poison in this context, probably huge, might be the nail in the coffin here, clearing the way for a lot of these troops. I don't know if the Royal Ghosts, yes, they will start to get on tower here, or at least the Miner does. So trying to play defense is Lemon Tea, but the relentless assault of Soking proving to be just too much so far here.
Yeah, and that was actually a great use of the Graveyard, picking up the Knight, the Prince, so it didn't charge on the Knight, but it's still not going to be enough for Lemon Tea here. Now feeling death rapping at his door, Soking whistling this one away. It appears Team Queso is going to sweep this game in 2 sets.
And the Tombstone a little inside, so even with the Tornado pulling that stuff off, that's going to be it. Soking, so good so far. And Team Queso now getting back in the win column, getting a very important victory here that keeps them 1/2 game separated. No, actually now a full game separated from Allegiance, who's in 2nd place.
Yeah, and they are not making it easy for those 7 people below them. Team Queso now sweeping the set in Fnatic, making that gap a little bit larger between them and everyone else.
The winners in 2 sets, Team Queso. A big-time victory here at this point, not just because you have Allegiance trying to nip at their heels, but also for what it does for those teams in the middle of the pack. Now, Fnatic was trying to get in the mix there. Taking a loss here does give some breathing room to those guys who are currently vying for that number 4 spot.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, Fnatic and Misfits have got to really, really be feeling that gap. And right here you see so much great offense from Soking, and that's the 3rd miss NATO by Lemon Tea, in my personal humble opinion. And then right here you see, you called it during the game, that poison coming in, cleaning up that Tombstone a couple times in a row. It's just way too much for Lemon Tea to deal with. He's trying right here, grasping at basically nothing, and Soking takes it home.
And it's, you know, really, we've talked about it earlier today, but it's that Graveyard deck. And it's one of those things where it seems like teams are able to put Fnatic on it fairly easy. And maybe I do want to hear about that EWIZ if part of that ban was to push them in that direction.
Right.
But Graveyard just has not been viable consistently here at CRL.
Yeah, and you saw throughout those 3 games that Soking basically leaked 0 elixir. Now, even if his opponent only leaked 2 a game, having a quick cycle deck, that puts you at a pretty big advantage throughout. So again, perfect play by Soking.
Soking, fantastic here so far, but not going to be sitting down because we have some more important questions than how did you win that 1v1 matchup. It's what's going on with the Harry Potter scar. Coochie Coo is sitting down with Christy St. John.
Thanks, guys. So, question of the hour. Tell me about that scar.
¿Cómo te has hecho esa cicatriz?
A ver, esa cicatriz es más que nada, pues no sé, los compañeros se están riendo de mí, pues, a ver, conmigo, digamos que conmigo, por el tema de las gafas y tal, y no sé, he pensado que salir con Anthony y tal parecíamos actores de Harry Potter y no sé, me la he dibujado.
Yeah, his teammates are just laughing at him, or with him, he says, because with those glasses he looks like Harry Potter, and with Anthony that looks like another character. I mean, they did it just for the lol. Yeah.
It definitely gave you some magic today. Now I have to ask about the 1v1. Will you tell me about the Electra Wiz ban? What was that about?
¿Por qué el ban de Electra Wiz? Yeah, okay. The ban EWIZ, it's one that Soking decided because with the decks that he was going to play, it was really favorable. And it's something that surprises because no one has done it before, I think. So I think it's good to just try new things because people are not going to expect it.
Absolutely. Keeping things different here in CRL is a way to win. So congratulations. Great win for Gryffindor. Sorry, Team Queso. Back to you guys.
keeping things different indeed, but now more of the same, running back the same result as their last match between Team Queso and Fnatic, and more importantly, back in the win column for the cheesy ones.
Yeah, we hop into the standings here, and you see the Team Queso now at a commanding lead at 7-2, and poor Fnatic in 7th place at 3-7, only just above Misfits.
And this is big for the playoff picture. Team Queso was in danger of falling down to a tie with Allegiance, but now still in that #1 spot. Of course, to remind you, the #1 team, end of the season gets a first and second round bye in the playoffs. Huge, huge, huge importance here. Every single win now as we move towards the end of the season. And you can follow all the action by hitting subscribe on the Clash Royale Esports YouTube page. Of course, don't forget to ring that bell so you get all those notifications. You can also go to esports.clashroyale.com to follow up on the standings and our teams. And as well, go to the Esports tab in your news section of your Clash Royale app. We'll be back tomorrow with more European region action. For Andrew Guy, I'm Rich Slayton. We'll see you mañana in the arena.
Loyal subjects, the Clash Royale League is my gift to you. And it is a gift that keeps on giving. Fireball after flaming fireball, P.E.K.K.A after dominating P.E.K.K.A. What's that you say? You want more? Well, wish granted. This week is a Royal Rumble, a Power Week, 5 straight days of action in the European region, with the best teams making a push for the playoffs, who will make their name on the CRL stage, and who will earn their place at the World Finals. Only one way to find out. Tune in to watch every match. Subscribe to the Clash Royale Esports channel. And remember, the Lumberjack likes his rage potion, but you must cut him off before he has too much. Things can get pretty ugly with that guy, believe me.